What's up? This is Detroit Miracle, and welcome to my Star Wars discussion. And as you can see, I have some of my Star Wars memorabilia out. Oh, yeah. She's the daughter of Darth Vader. Oh, how I love these. Well, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the recent trilogy series, but I guess it's better than nothing. But with this, oh yeah. This was the first film of the original Star Wars trilogy. And of course, we know this was Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which was given to him by Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original New Hope film. Okay, in this discussion, I'm going to talk a lot about Luke Skywalker and Rey, but I'm going to talk about them as far as comparisons go. You know, people were saying that Rey was a Mary Sue character because during the Disney Lucasfilm sequel trilogy, she appeared to know how to do just about everything that one could do. And she can even do it better than the people that were most expertise at it. So that's why people compared her to Mary Sue characters, which were know all and do all. Now, Luke, on the other hand, they say that Luke had more character development and he had to acquire his skills and talents as he went along. And in regards to the Force, Luke Skywalker had a strong Force content in his body, like as far as midichlorian levels being incredibly high, because he, of course, is the son of Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. And Rey, of course, as we all were made aware, she's the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. So she was incredibly strong with the Force too, as far as inheriting it. So you might say Luke Skywalker and Rey are stronger with the Force than most Force users are. Okay, let me get off into Luke first and foremost. Okay, Luke, we know where he started off. He was some kind of country farm boy on a desert planet. And then he got mixed up in some type of galactic struggle between the forces of evil and the forces of good. But you know, in the original New Hope movie, which was Star Wars, of course, Luke didn't appear to have any special talents, gifts, powers, or abilities. But he would later be informed that, of course, he can become a Jedi Knight like his father before him. And he was also informed by his mentor, Ben Kenobi, that Ben, of course, was once a Jedi Knight. And people at that time didn't know much about the Jedis, but they would, of course, later come to know that the Jedis were very powerful with the Force and very skilled with laser swords. So Jedis were more like space wizards and sorcerers. But the Jedis had evil counterparts, which were Sith Lords and Dark Jedis. Now those evil forces would be like evil mages and evil sorcerers. And of course, a mage is a witch or a wizard as well. Yes, there are mages, witches, wizards, sorcerers, and other magical forces. But in the Star Wars universe, they put sort of a twist and spin on them. And in that particular realm, the Force was the all-powerful and is the all-powerful there, in which certain types of beings can tap into because of their sensitivity to the Force. So you might say the Force gifts many in ways that they do not gift others. So Luke, of course, we know that Luke had to acquire various types of training in order to use the lightsaber more proficiently. And he had to be instructed on the Force in order to know how to tap into his vastly enriched amount of powers. So if you watch Luke through the first course of the 3 films, we knew that he had obtained a little bit more through each film. So it was like more of a gradual progression with regard to him becoming stronger with the Force. Or he was already strong with the Force, but he didn't know how to tap into it as fully trained Jedi Knights did. So Luke, we know he had to have had training to get where he was at the time of Return of the Jedi and afterwards. And then we already came to understand that Luke was a good, fair pilot, because he said he used to shoot womp rats or something. He used to bullseye them. And then, of course, we know he could fly a TIE fighter. But in that galaxy, piloting might be something atypical for all citizens on all those planets. Because anytime you make available for interstellar travel, then many people, citizens, and creatures will have to learn how to fly various types of crafts in order to go from one planet to another, or in fact, one side of the galaxy to another. So hearing that somebody can fly a spacecraft or some sort, it doesn't really get you overly excited and enthused, especially when it involves living in a galaxy with millions of planets where there are many advanced technological civilized races in which can fly those various crafts and ships to other worlds and other galaxies. So piloting, it didn't. So Luke, being a good pilot or a fair pilot, didn't get us overly exhilarated in A New Hope. And him being able to destroy the Death Star was an incredible feat, but he had help from the Force, which was speaking through Ben Kenobi. Remember, it told him to trust his feelings and instincts and let go. So, after the first film, Luke would be on his journey in which his character would have to develop in a variety of ways. So I'm going to leave it there at this particular with Luke. So let's get into Rey and her character in The Force Awakens. I don't have The Force Awakens with me right now, but this will serve its purpose. Anyway, so Rey begins the film on some desert planet as a scavenger who made a living that way, apparently, in order to eat. Her journey began sort of in a dismal mood and way. She seemed and appeared to have been someone underprivileged and unremarkable. So she was scavenging for junk in order to sell it and trade it. So at that time, I didn't know what or who she was, but her character did seem intriguing enough that she walked around with that staff thing. And then she would later show her skills with the staff. So I would think that, wow, okay, this woman really knows how to handle herself, because she was able to fight off those bandits that was trying to steal her droid from her. So she's a capable warrior, nothing really too overly flashy or thrilling, but nevertheless, she can handle herself in a battle. And even Luke, at his journey, didn't have those warrior skills like that. But of course, if you grow up on a planet where people and things appear to be aggressive, then you have to train yourself to defend yourself in order to survive. So, okay, from that point, she's a good warrior. Then we move on. So she comes in contact with the Millennium Falcon at some point, and then she have to escape the planet with Finn. No, I'm specifically focusing on her, but of course there was an ensemble cast. And so she automatically, just say she knows how to handle the Millennium Falcon. At first, she has to sort of figure things out and get used to it. But after a while, a brief moment, she appears to be most proficient at piloting the Millennium Falcon. And then she's being chased by First Order TIE fighters. They're shooting at her. And then she's flying the Millennium Falcon just as good as Han Solo ever did, if not better. I mean, she's going through things. She's flipping the ship over like a pancake. And then they managed to evade and avoid the TIE fighters and destroy them. Then they make their way off planet. Then, of course, at that time, she's a great pilot because her piloting skills are most expertise, or she would not have been able to handle that ship so well. And it was a freighter ship. So it did present much complication to be able to maneuver the freighter ship around enemy fighters like that was something amazing and special. Okay, so Rey is a great established pilot. We don't know who taught her piloting skills or where she acquired them, but it was no big deal. Hey, she's a great pilot. That's terrific. And then later, she comes in contact with a master force user who tries to use a mind probe on her. And he fails to do so. despite his years of rigorous training at that art, and I must say he's mastered many other force abilities because he's had a variety of training, but nevertheless he tries to use his power on Rey to subjugate her under mind control in order to take some information off her mind, but she manages to block him with her mind, and then she manages to get into his mind and probe it and read it and learn things from it. So we know that she has incredible force of powers, or she is incredibly strong with the force, but we don't know how she got that way or who taught her to use that. But there is explanations for everything, and that information might come later. Okay, so move on to the lightsaber thing. She gets a lightsaber, and she has I would say a fight with the Master Force dark side user, who's the primary antagonist of the film at that time. We know this primary antagonist had a master, but we didn't know him, so instead he was the primary antagonist on the film because we saw him the whole entire time doing evil stuff, crooked stuff, corrupt stuff. So his presence loomed over the film. So he comes in contact with Rey again, and they engage in a lightsaber duel much later. And then we find out that she's most incredible at adapting to lightsaber styles, and she develops her own style in particular on the spur of the moment that could fend off a master force user's best lightsaber strikes. She seemingly develops her own style, and then she's not burdened by things such as fear and doubt, which is something that masters teach Jedi in order to get them conditioned right in the mind so that they would be capable warriors of the Force. So she has we know from what we've seen that she's had no formal training on piloting, force powers, or saber skills, but yet she's incredibly, miraculously, amazingly incredible at just adapting to situations and developing skills and tools that will help her get out of tight spots and situations that were set up to go against her. So she defeats this master sword user with an incredible lightsaber style in which she had developed by being able to, see through his weaknesses and combat against whatever he was able to swing at her, and she defeats him. Now I know that this guy was wounded. He was, but think about it. Besides his sword fighting abilities, he had numerous force powers to use on her as well. But he didn't. Like, he could have used force choke, force push, force crush, force freeze, force. We know his mind control abilities didn't work on her, but it's like he could have used all the stuff that Luke Skywalker had taught him, as well as all the stuff that his dark side master had taught him, but he didn't. So aside from his, I would say, expertise at sword fighting and fencing and abundance of force powers, still Rey was able to overcome him. So what is the sum total of it? Like, after one film, she was pretty much established at being an expert pilot, a master force user, and an expert A1 sword saber combatant. And I'm just indicating like differences and similarities between her and Luke Skywalker. There's not too many similarities between her and Luke Skywalker, other than the fact that they both grew up on some desert planet. Because Luke Skywalker, they say he was completely different and removed from her. Like he was unsure of himself, he was fearful, he wanted to leave his world. But Rey didn't want to leave her world. She was not unsure of herself. She was not fearful. She was confident, sure, and secure and capable from the very start. So this like Luke had Mary Sue qualities in him, of tiny a bit in amounts because he obtained full mastery of the Force and over the lightsaber with limited training. I get it. He didn't have years of vigorous training, and he was able to pick up on things quickly based on his direct experiences with situations. Like, Obi-Wan taught him a little bit and he applied that and used it. Then Yoda had taught him more extensive training. And then they never said that Obi-Wan or Yoda taught him any type of lightsaber techniques. But we know that by fighting Darth Vader, he was able to mimic Darth Vader's style. So Luke was incredibly adaptive and he picked up on things on his own and had limited training. So he did have Mary Sue qualities of a most limited type and amount because many other Jedi Knights required years of extensive training where he didn't. But Rey, on the other hand, is a master force user, phenomenal, phenom after the very first film. And that went unexplained. And so that left people with the conclusion that she was a Mary Sue. Well, this is Detroit Miracle. Please drop those likes, comments, and up those subscriptions to Detroit Miracle. Peace out.